Welcome, friends.
Hello, everyone. We're glad you could join us once again. It is the middle of the year. Half of the year is over.
Oh my goodness.
And we're looking forward to July 4th at this point in
We
time.
hope you're enjoying your summer. It is going by very quickly, and we've been having lots of fun, keeping busy, of course, in the gardens, but also we've been hosting the first live classes we've been having since COVID. And we've been having guest instructors come in to teach basket making, and it's been so much fun. This last class we've had 2 classes now so far. Everybody really has enjoyed making their baskets. They actually get to complete a basket in the class. And this last class, we had 3 groups of mother-daughter teams, and that was so much fun for us because, of course, we have a special fondness for mother-daughter teams. It was really fun to watch them connect and have this great activity to do together and take home a basket, which they could really make their own by the colors that they could choose.
We're kind of calling this the year of the baskets in our shop because we have right now 5 basket classes set up. They're all full, and we may add another 1 or 2. So if you're interested in any of those basket classes, just let us know and we'll put you on the list for sure.
Yeah, we'll put the link below. If you're interested, you can add yourself to the list.
Yes, and we'll get those dates out as soon as we possibly can.
It's one of those ancestral skills that
It
is
is.
so important to reclaim.
It is.
That ancestral wisdom.
And it's pretty much a make it or take it type of thing. So they come into class and 4 or 5 hours later, they have a basket to take home with them and use, which is wonderful.
Yeah, make it and take it are so much fun.
They certainly are. During the class, we had mint water made up. Yeah. And I think you added a little bit of Tulsi, which is called holy basil.
Yeah,
to it.
one of the participants, one of our neighbors, Crystal, she brought us some wonderful holy basil out of her garden. So I had made mint tea, and then we just added a few stems of the holy basil in it because you've got to, right?
It was delightful.
So good. So yummy. We've been trying to really stay cool with some of those mint-based teas because mint is nice and cooling and so refreshing on these hot days.
It really is. And one of the things we like to do is make ice cubes out of our strong infusion. Before we've diluted it, out of the concentrate, we can make ice cubes. And they're wonderful to add to an iced drink.
Yeah, for sure.
And one of the gals in the class, Julie, she happened to mention that she liked to make nettle ice cubes.
Oh, great
idea. And she
idea.
would add those to her drinks, her cooling drinks. I think that's a wonderful idea.
It really is. It's an easy way because everybody's on the go, and if you want, a healthier drink than what you can buy out in, commercially in the grocery store or the gas station, it's simple to make your own. Really concentrated ice cubes of teas or infusions that you like, and then you just pop a couple of those ice cubes in your drink on your way out the door, and boom, you've got a refreshing drink that's way healthier than anything you buy at the store.
One of the things I have always liked to do in the past is also make ice cubes when I have guests. And they're really pretty in a clear glass because the ice cube could have a flower of lavender in it or a mint leaf in it. Just so pretty, or maybe even a flower of the violet plant. Just wonderful thing to do. And the way you do that, there is a little trick to it. You fill the ice cube tray half full, freeze it, lay in your flour into each of the little ice cube trays. And that's something people really don't use this anymore because they've ready-made ice.
Right.
But here's the way you get your pretty ice cubes. And then on top of that flour, you'll just put a dab of water, just a little bit, and put it back in the freezer. Everything will the flowers will be covered, and yet that will freeze solid, and it holds the flower or the leaf in place right in the middle, because otherwise that leaf or flower is going to rise on up to the top when you fill it up with water. So put a little bit of water in there, just a dab, put it back into the freezer, an hour, bring it back out, and fill the rest of the way with water. And you've got wonderful ice cubes.
Very impressive if you're having a party, for sure. Otherwise, it's a little labor intensive, but sometimes beauty is worth it.
Well, and especially when you have guests.
Yes.
Then it's always worth it.
Yeah, very impressive.
Yes, it
Nice.
is. So one of the things we have in the garden that works really well this time of the year for a beverage is Anise Hyssop.
Oh, yummy, yummy, yummy.
My garden just cannot be without Anise Hyssop. I hope everyone grows in their garden, and if you don't, you really want to.
Yeah, for sure.
And I'll have some seed available this fall. Later in the fall, if anyone wants any seed they can pop by, I'll give them some, because my couple of plants will just produce lots of seed soon.
And yeah, and they readily start from seed, which is
They
nice.
truly do. It's a very easy plant to start. I think a lot of times when people have a challenge with starting a seed or seeds won't grow, it's because they have not had the 30 days of stratification. And that stratification is actually going through a cold period of time.
Right.
30 days is just about all it takes. So seeds like this can be dropped in the fall,
Right.
because that's what nature does.
Yeah.
They drop them in the fall. Or you can add them of February, maybe even March 1st, sprinkle them on the ground. It takes very few seeds to have a lot of Anise Hyssop.
Which is wonderful for the pollinators and for us as well. You know,
It is.
It's also called licorice mint. You know, anise is licorice tasting, and so a lot of people call it actually licorice mint. It's an Agastaceae species, so it's not actually in the hyssop family. It's actually, hyssop actually was a word in the past that just meant a fragrant plant that was often used for purifying things, and it was used as an herbal smoke many times to help things smell good and to purify the energy and to just shift the energy. It's really aromatic and it's a very uplifting plant. It's one of those plants you just love to put your whole face into and go, it just smells so good.
And even if you don't like licorice, if this is diluted enough, you won't really taste a strong licorice at all. I never taste a strong licorice because I dilute most of my drinks quite a bit. You like yours stronger.
I do like mine stronger,
Yes.
yeah, but I love that licorice flavor.
And that it is really yummy.
It is really yummy.
It's yummy.
It's very uplifting and very aromatic.
Yes, I started growing it because it was known as the #1 flower for pollinators, and I didn't realize that at the time. And when I read about it, I thought, okay, I'm going to grow it, and I have grown it ever since. It will always be covered with pollinators.
Yeah, they do. It's like a magnet for pollinators, for bees, butterflies, and even hummingbirds occasionally coming around it. And we love it as a tea. And it's one of the herbs that we add frequently to our fresh herbal teas that we make all summer long.
Absolutely.
And it's also been used actually to flavor liqueurs and make homemade syrups with it because of its wonderful flavor. Makes a great addition to salads and desserts, and it's really super easy to grow. It adds biodiversity in the garden, it supports pollinators, and once it's established, it really is drought tolerant. It doesn't require any care whatsoever. It thrives in a variety of soil conditions. And it's actually a native to Ontario, Canada, and some of the northern and western United States. And so it's and Nebraska, not Kansas necessarily, but we're not far away from Nebraska, and so we love to grow it. And medicinally, it was actually used by the Native American tribes for many different reasons. It has anti-inflammatory and antibacterial properties, and it's traditionally been used to soothe colds and fevers and respiratory issues and things like that. And we love it. It's delicious.
One of my favorite colors in the gardens, when I had big gardens back in Nebraska, was purple. I love purple, and I love the lavenders. They add so much color to our gardens. And this has a lavender coloring to it, whereas the actual lavender plant will be purple, and it can go down to blue-gray.
Yeah, for sure.
So all those are so pretty in the garden.
Yeah, it has these tall kind of spikes of purple or blue flowers, and very, very, very beautiful. And it blooms from midsummer to early fall, so it adds that interest in that color and
Continuously.
So it's great for pollinators for many months, which makes it really exceptional as one of the native plants in the United States, which is great.
Anytime I look out my big windows on the east to the garden, I see butterflies on it or flitting about on top of it. Always I see them.
I love that.
Which I just really enjoy.
So beautiful.
It is.
And as we're talking about lavender, I just actually saw an article the other day from EWG. I love to follow environmentalworkinggroup.org, EWG.org, and they had an article about lavender flavoring. They said, lavender is kind of having a moment right now, apparently in the culture, and it's suddenly become very popular this summer as a flavor. And they said that there's actually been, Starbucks introduced 3 lavender drinks this summer. 3 different lavender drinks. But unfortunately, it's really up to us as consumers to seek out the truth about lavender-themed foods and drinks, because do they actually contain lavender, or do they just contain toxic synthetic chemical substitutes, which unfortunately is often the case. So here's a tip. If the ingredient label names the plant either lavender or lavandula, the Latin name, then legally it has to contain real lavender. So that's good to know. But if it also lists natural or artificial flavors, then it's really impossible to know really how much of the scent or flavor is coming directly from lavender and how much is actually, synthetic. Both artificial and natural flavors can contain harmful preservatives and solvents, so that's really not something we want to be ingesting too much at all.
That's what we avoid.
Yeah, it's really, buyer beware, consumer beware. Unfortunately, we really have to educate ourselves and make those choices. And the other thing to think about too is that many times lavender themed foods and drinks are a lovely lavender color, because we love lavender color, right? But in food and drink, it's a good practice to stop and think, how is that color actually created? Lavender often is created by a combination, of course, red and blue food dyes, which have well-documented negative health impacts. And so, buyer beware, consumer beware, just good to be aware of these things. Unfortunately, we love, love our lavender, and it's unfortunate that in the marketplace, they're using lavender to sell products which are not actually containing any lavender and which can be rather toxic.
So read the labels.
Read the labels. And they don't always make it easy to read labels. With Starbucks, you have to go to their website and look. And I did, and on their website it's just natural and artificial flavors and colors. There's no actual lavender in it.
So
it's unfortunate.
once you know,
Know better, do better, right? Always.
knowledge is power.
Knowledge is power.
Yes. Well, my sewing circle met,
yes.
and it was a delightful time once again. There are 4 of us working on the 52-week challenge, and then I also have 2 friends that are not in sewing circle that are working on the challenge, and so that's a fun thing that everybody compares, I guess, to each other, because everybody's is so different. We're always excited to see who does what or how they have interpreted the week's challenge. So 52 weeks, we're halfway there. 26 weeks are now under our belts.
That's amazing. And what a great way to connect with your friends.
It
too.
is, and that we all have something truly in common there, added to our other things, but this really is a common interest.
And a way to express your creativity.
It is.
And I know people have been asking about what you dug up on Summer Solstice.
Yes, we've had people come in and everything else, so here's the scoop.
So give them some background, just in case somebody hasn't tuned in before.
And I believe that we have some, we could go back and add some of the video of it too. On this spring equinox, I did 2 little booklets, and the booklets looked like this. They were little booklets that were made out of cloth. They had pages in them, and I had a verse on it, and the premise is this: if you see something you love, set it free. And then again, if it comes back to you, or if you find it, it's yours to keep. So here's one of the pages of this booklet. I also put a feather in it, and then on the spring equinox, I've stitched it into my journal. Okay, the second book that I made the same day, I put it onto a tray, and I added petals of flowers, a rusty key, let's see, what else did I put in? Some moss, a petal of my great-grandmother's purple iris. And then I took a twig and I rolled the book up into a little bundle. And wrap twine around it, or jute string around it really well. And I took it out to the garden and I put it into the earth next to the lavender plant down by its roots, covered it up, blessed it, and wished it well. Well, it was going on a journey. And in those 90 days until the summer solstice, I didn't realize it, but I was on a journey also. And it's a very emotional thing. I didn't realize how emotional it really was. How much growth takes place when we do an exercise like this. And at the end, every time I'd go out and I'd pick some, or gather some of my lavender flowers, I would say hello to my booklet. How are you doing? I hope you're doing well. I talk to it also. Well, now it's summer solstice time, and now we get to unearth them. That little bundle was planted in the garden, and now I get to unearth it. Is it going to be there or not going to be there? I'd been reading reports where some others had collected theirs already and where others could not find theirs at all. Perhaps a squirrel had dug it up and moved it away. Maybe it was just not to be and not going to be there at all. It was a little bit of a trepidation, wondering what was going on and was it there. It had gone on quite a journey, because not long after that, in the early spring, we had 12 inches of rain in 2.5 weeks. I was afraid my little booklet had just completely drowned and gone away. I knew it would be soaked and soaked forever, as long as it was in the earth, because we had such a wet spring. But on this journey, we went from a low of 25 degrees, I believe, to a high of 90. The day came to dig it up, to unearth it, and my daughter was with me, and also my son, because he was visiting for a few days. So it worked out just perfectly that we could go and unearth this little bundle. So gently, I took my little scoop and went down into the earth to find it, and I saw like a clod of dirt, no bigger than my fist. And I thought, is that my bundle? And it really was my bundle. So I bring it up, kind of gently tap it and shake some of the soil off of it, because it was like a clod of dirt. I saw the string or the jute, and I started to take it off, but it fell apart in little pieces, just little pieces. I had this tray sitting in front of us, and I started to take off the fabric. Well, in taking off the fabric, it was coming apart in tiny penny-sized pieces. And so by the time I was done, I had small pieces all over it. I could not identify it as my booklet. I saw no color until I saw the threads left over from the red embroidery thread, just a little bit of it. There were no letters, no embroidered letters, no nothing there in it. I found the key, took it out, but nothing else. Oh, except a centipede and a little bit of larva, because the little critters also visited my little booklet. I brought it in the house, rinsed it off very gently, and then put it into baking soda water, which would stop all the action that was taking place of disintegrating the cloth. The cloth I had used originally was a very, very old linen, and linen has actually been found in graves and come through intact to this day, where you could identify it. Well, mine could not be identified as linen, or any other kind of cloth for that matter. What was there was kind of stiff. Even after it was washed and dried, it was kind of stiff. But I saved all the little pieces, and I knew those little pieces would be stitched into my page. And they were. I saved some of the twine and made a little circle, and it is preserved there now. I had to make a new cover for a different style of booklet. I didn't want to make the same booklet again. And so this is a little different style, but I wanted to put the rest of the verse on there to show that it came back, and when it comes back, then I can keep it. It's mine to keep. And so this is what the little page looks like in my book. If it comes back, it's yours to keep. This is the page, and then I have it so that you can pull up this page and you can actually see what was left. This is what was left. I made a circle out of the twine, and you can see that it was a 2-ply twine because it came apart, and it's so pretty the way it is. There's actually beauty in this deterioration, which amazed me. And all the little stitches, there are hundreds of stitches that I put down to tack this all down so it will stay this way now. And it is in my journal. And so this is the story of its 90-day journey in the earth and my journey to retrieve it. It was one of the most enlightening lessons I have ever had or learned, and it's one I'm so glad we did in this workshop or this class, because this, as I said before, is a free class. It's a 52-week challenge, and it is amazing what we learn from each one. I write a story with each one and put it on the opposite page. So there is always a story to be told of it and my experiences with it. And I think that's one of the ways we continue to grow in life. And I would certainly encourage you all, those of you who like to even put a stitch in, one stitch. You'll add more as you go, of course, but to do this project next year, I can't encourage you enough. It's been life-changing. So that is the story of my little page.
It's amazing. It's wonderful.
Isn't it amazing?
Yeah.
It is. And I'm thrilled that there was something there, but there was very little, but there is a story to be told from it. And that's what's really great about it.
I love it.
So my little page and I, Booklet and I, we went on a journey.
You did.
But we're back. But we're
Love
back.
it.
And so with that, I think we'll close with something I love to do every evening, and that is look out my window and see the fireflies. We've talked about the fireflies before being wonderful pollinators, but also they're just magical in the evening. They are little sparkles of light. And the minute I can go to the window and see this changing of the lights from going from daylight to our dusk, and then seeing the fireflies is really quite magical.
I was going to tell you, last night, and kind of the middle of the night, it was around 11 o'clock, I just walked outside, and I ended up shutting off my flashlight because the stars were so beautiful, and then the fireflies, even at that time of night, they were still out. It was magical and just so beautiful.
It would be. That's
just
a great time of night. Anyway.
Yeah, it is.
Yes, so this little poem by Lillian Moore goes like this. If you catch a firefly and keep it in a jar, you may find that you have lost a tiny little star. If you let it go then, back into the night, you may see it once again, star bright.
Star bright. We hope you have a wonderful week, a great 4th of July. We won't see you next week. We'll see you the week after that.
Yes.
And have a great and safe 4th of July. Good earth blessings to you.